Hello friends, welcome to my channel. Let's have a look at a newly appeared problem. Problem 2423. Remove letter to equalize frequency. So here we are going to present two formats of solutions. So the first one is going to be brute force and direct. And the second one, we're going to use some logic to analyze the process. First, let's look at the statement to digest the requirements of the problem. So we are given a string called word consisting of lowercase English letters. We must remove one letter corresponding to a specific index so that the frequency of every letter present in word is equal. So return true if it's possible, otherwise return false. So notice that we must remove exactly one letter and cannot choose to do nothing. So this actually is an important requirement. So with that said, let's look at the two examples. In example 1, so A, B appears once respectively, and C appears twice. So we can remove one letter C, either at index 2 or at index 3. So in this case, the return is true. And in example 2, so both A and Z appear twice, but we must remove one letter. So in this case, the return is false. So the additional constraints or assumptions in this problem are the following. First, the length of the word is bounded below by 2 and bounded above by 100. So this constraint actually defines the problem size. And the second constraint actually has already stated in the beginning. So with that said, actually we can look at the methods. So first, let's look at method 1. So actually method 1 is just follow the problem statement. Actually we can try to delete each letter and then check if the remaining unique letters have the same frequency. If this is the case, we're going to return true, otherwise not. So here I would say more precisely, all the remaining unique letters have same frequency respectively. This is more rigorous. So this case actually we do not need to analyze in some depth, so we can just mimic the process. So with that said, let's first share the solution using this logic. So here first, let's get the length of this word. So notice that this n is greater than or equal to 2. So this is the by problem statement or constraint. So n is actually also bounded above by 100. So because of this small number, so we can do this in a brute force fashion. So here what we are going to do is that we are iterate for I in range n. So this I will run from 0 to 1 up to and included n minus 1. Then we're going to make a collection, and we're going to use a counter, let's see. So for word, and then what we are going to do is that, so we're going to delete this word character at word I, at index I. So we're going to decrement it by 1. So we can always do this because as we do the counter, this word I must be a key of this dictionary or counter. Then we are going to decrement this frequency by 1, and then we need to check if this so we can do this. Let's see, character equals word I, and then we're going to do this. This will be much better. So then if D character, if the frequency is 0, so we're going to delete this key. So D character, right? Then what we are going to do is to check if all the other letters appears with the same frequency. So basically this is very easy. So we're going to use set, length of set of D values. So the values are the unique letter frequencies. So if there's just one frequency, it means that as a set, the length would be 1. So in this case, we are going to return true. So otherwise, actually, after this for loop, we're going to return false. So this is the logic. Actually, this logic is straightforward. I guess this is maybe one of the reasons that the problem marks this problem, Leetcode marks this problem as easy. So let's do a check for this case. Yeah, it passes one example. Now let's look at the generic case. Yeah, it passes all the generic cases. So this way of solving the problem, actually we didn't pay special attention to the different cases. So now let's look at method 2. So for method 2, what we are going to do is to analyze the process and consider all the possible cases. So here actually we do it in a step-by-step fashion. First, if the string contains just one unique character, then we are going to return true, right? So because the length is larger than 1, so we can always delete one of the character. So for example, this is the case. So we have 5 A's, or we have here, let's see, we have 2 A's. So because the problem requires that the word length is bounded below by 2. So this is the one case, single unique characters. And otherwise, so we are consider non-single unique characters. So in this case, we can consider 2 sub-cases. So one is that the single unique frequency, right? So we are going to return true. For example, each of the letters appears just once, so we can delete any of the letters, right? So this is the case. And another case is that not single unique frequencies. So in this case, actually we can consider another 2 sub-cases. So first is that more than 2 unique frequencies. So in this case, we should return true directly. For example, we have A, B, C. So they appear once, twice, and 3 times. So in this case, we cannot achieve equal frequency by removing a single letter. So this is another example, right? So we have 2A, 3B, and 4C. So this is the one case. Another case is that let's change this to be 2. So we have 2 unique frequencies. So in this case, so we can consider m, little m, the smaller frequency, and capital M, the larger frequency. So actually in this case, there are only 2 cases we could return true. So one is that so the smaller frequency is 1, and it appears only once. For example, A appears once, and B appears 4 times here. So we can delete this A, right? Or here you have A appears once, and B appears 4 times, and C appears 4 times. We can delete A again. So we can delete the letter corresponding to the smaller frequency. So another case is that so the 2 frequencies is different by 1. So the larger one is larger than the smaller frequency, and there is only one unique letter with the frequency m. So for example, we have 2A, 2B, and 3C, right? So then in this case, we can delete one letter C, right? So this is the case. In all the other cases, we are going to return false. So with that said, I guess let's share the second format of solutions. So the second format, actually the logic is not very straightforward, we'll see. Let's use this one as V1. So now let's just translate the above situations into code. First, actually in this format of solution, we're going to use dictionary, or we can say we use counter, a subclass of the dictionary class in Python. So first, I'm going to get the frequency countings, so collections, counter, word. So this line of code actually will get a counter object. So the K is the unique characters, and the value will be their frequencies respectively. And then also we want to do another count. So we want to count the frequencies, different frequencies, counter and D values, right? So with these 2 pieces of information, actually we can make a direct check following the above logic. So first, we want to consider one unique letter. So in this case, we just need to return true. This is very simple. So if the length of D is 1, in other words, there's only one letter, unique letter. So in this case, we can delete one of them. So we're going to return true. So this is one case. So if we consider non-unique letters, so we're going to first get the length of DD. In other words, the different frequencies, right? So if m equals 1, so in other words, there's only one frequency. So in this case, if more than one unique letters, so we would hope that this frequency is 1. In other words, if it's not 1, so we cannot achieve the goal. So here, let's write a pseudo while loop, for loop. So for frequency in D values, and then if we're going to return if the frequency is 1, right? So actually, this just checks one instance. So though it takes the format of for loop, so once we get one frequency, then it just check that. So this is one case. Another case is that if m is greater than 2, in other words, we have more than 2 unique frequencies, then in this case, we're going to return false. The other case is that m equals 2. In other words, we have non-unique characters and we have 2 different frequencies. So in this case, I'm going to call the D values, so the smaller one and the larger one. And then we track the above 2 cases. In the first case, we're going to, if m equals 1, the smaller frequency, then we want to delete the character corresponding to the smaller frequency. Or we can delete the one letter corresponding to a larger frequency. So then what we're going to do is that, so if m equals 1 and ddm equals 1, so in this case, we're going to return true, not 1. So in other words, the smaller frequency appears just once, and it's also 1. And another case is that if their difference is 1, and ddm just appears once. So corresponding to this example, right? This is the larger frequency is 3, smaller frequency is 2. So their difference is 1. So this frequency appears once. So we are going to return true. So if we have DDD, right? So this is another frequency 3, but it appears twice. Whereas in this case, we're going to return false, right? So then, if DDM equals 1, then we're going to return true. So after the 2 checks, if we haven't returned anything, we are going to return false. So that's the logic for this problem. Actually, this logic is not very straightforward. So I would say, though the problem is marked easy, but easy, I mean, maybe it means that if we read the first version of the code, it's very straightforward due to the problem size. And if we analyze the logic using the second format of solution, it might be not that straightforward. Sometimes it can be errors. So with that said, let's first do a check. So so this D has no attribute value. So here, let's see, values. So let's do a check again. Yeah, it passes the first example. Now let's look at the generic case. Yeah, it passes all the cases. So with that said, I guess that's about it for this problem. So in this video, we shared 2 formats of solutions to this specific problem. So in the first version, so we just try to delete each character at different index, and then consider doing the check. And in the second format, so we're analyzing the different cases and the rest of the logic. So in both of the 2 versions of solutions, we used counter, so which is in subclass of dictionary in Python. So with that said, that's it. Thank you.